All right, so today we're going to be reacting to Josh Scorcher's top 10 2024 fails. Uh, he is one of the funniest content creators out there, and I'm looking forward to this. You should also subscribe to him, all that jazz. Okay, let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Maniacal laughter.
Folks, this party's getting started, and guess what? It's crazy!
Why does it seem like Halloween?
There's so much stuff to talk about, I don't know where to start. Maybe at the dawn of suck with Squeenix AI art. The little show back this year. The workers all disappear. Watch us green and dummies tear this industry apart.
Oh, I'm so glad we have
There's
Josh
a
Scorcher.
million fearsome ways to fail. Oh, why do they make the same mistakes again? Really stupid.
Because they're really dumb. Oh, they. He called out Elon Musk with the AI thing.
And we'll count them down right here in this top 10. Indie games are great, but a few made some mistakes, like losing all
Wait, what?
support
What did
by
they do?
evil flying drakes, or adding broken fighter guys,
And then leave the game to die.
or say our game is punky when we know that claim is fake.
There's a million fearsome ways to fail.
Oh, Bluey game was crap.
Oh, why do they make the same
There was a Bluey game?
mistakes again?
They cannot stop the cap.
There's a million fearsome ways to fail.
Flee the guarding of the veil.
And we'll count them down right here in this top 10.
You could try getting paid.
Oh, his girlfriend got involved. Is it his girlfriend or his wife?
Game localized with the cringe translator.
Wait, cringe translator?
10,000 stores of worthless NFTs.
Screw
Be
NFTs!
the death of goodness that was killed the Justice League.
Oh, right.
Just so they can get a check.
I forgot that game exists sometimes.
$700 tech.
Wife, good for him.
Can do their thing.
And stupid takes on everything.
Or making gaming movies that are nothing but a wreck.
Don't worry, we still have Sonic. Do we? Yes, we do.
There's a million
Yeah, Sonic 3 was awesome.
fearsome ways to fail. Bet they made this game on meth. Oh, why do they make the same mistakes again?
Mocking Toriyama's death.
There's a million
Who mocked Toriyama's death?
ways to fail.
Wait,
These games are really getting
Nah.
stale.
Because I know it'll bother Lane, I won't go back.
In this top 10,
To list your game, though fans have paid. You
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
AAA.
Oh yeah, Skull and Bones was the first quadruple A, wasn't it?
Screw things up and give yourself some raise. Killing off your game in 14 days. Force you all to play a PSN will count.
My audio sounds good, by the way, right?
This top
Mr. Joker's reckoning bot.
count them down right here in this top 10.
Okay, good. He always makes such good songs.
Can we lay off from this company? Probably another BioWare. Yeah, EA hasn't done much this year besides layoffs, but everyone their CEO is doing that, so I can't fairly single them out. Nope, it's their rambunctious child BioWare doing the fail, and yeah, it's Dragon Age Veilguard. This game
Oh, this ought to be
is a
good.
middle-of-the-road action RPG, but it's also a Dragon Age game, which means there's an expectation to live up to, especially for a
Okay, I
franchise
do
that
have
hasn't
it
been
in
seen in
HD.
10 years. Firstly, your choices from the last 3 games barely matter. Like, there are maybe 3 choices that do anything. That alone is a big turnoff, but it gets worse. Remember how in Origins, how your choice of race, background, and class dictated the entire first chapter? Or how in 2, where certain characters and plot lines were locked depending on if you were a mage?
No, I
The
don't,
character
but I have
background
heard
options
Dragon Age
here
games are good at
utterly
that.
vapid and don't open any meaningful quests or conversations. The entire game feels like Dragon Age for kids. Like if it decided to run a D&D campaign with teenagers with their parents around. What do you mean I can't kill that random NPC? What do you mean I can't commit polygamy? Okay, DM,
Sounds
my
like
mom went to the
they're
restroom. Can I
playing
please
the game with
brainwash
your
the soldiers to
parents?
betray everything they hold dear and become my servant? Wait, my mom's behind you. Oh no, she has a belt. Run, DM, run! The whole game feels like that. And I'm not the first person to point this out, but it rings true. Most of the dialogue feels like a corporate report going through HR. No huge stakes, no dire consequences, no potentially offensive dialogue. Everything is all sanitized.
And you can't be an
being
asshole.
Even slightly disagreeable is a huge no-no. While yes, the game does have a few times where characters are angry with you due to your decisions, unlike in other games, they don't leave in disgust. It really isn't until the final level that feels like things are happening like a normal Dragon Age game. Though we do get a few characters from previous games coming in, they are really mischaracterized compared to their previous iterations. So that's a bit of a bummer. As for the combat, it's standard action game affair, but without too much substance. Sure, it has a class system, but I have it on good authority that playing as a warrior sucks. I mean, I wouldn't know. I always go for mage. Enemies in higher difficulties
I would
have
probably
their
go for
stats
mage,
super
too.
inflated too. So it's become more of a chore than anything else. That's why you see people recommend you play on easy for the best experience. Lastly, the art style, while not terrible, feels way too goofy for Dragon Age. Makes me wonder if this game really is rated M. Oh, it is? Doesn't show. Again, the game itself isn't bad in the overall scheme of things, but it doesn't feel like Dragon Age. After several years of fantastic Western RPGs that brought forth new ways to tell a story like this, Veilguard feels like a regression. I hope we get a game worthy of the BioWare name in the future. Until then, still have Baldur's Gate 3.
What the frick? You can kick a squirrel to death in Baldur's
Let's
Gate
not kid
3?
ourselves. Western gaming is in a steep decline. I mean, look at the Game
Oh,
of the
hi,
Year Award
Asmongold.
nominees. Not a single AAA Western title. So the obvious question is, what happened? Well, a lot of people have opinions on that. And opinions are just like mouths. Everyone's got them, and they all suck. Both sides of the internet's polarized culture war have tried everything they can this year to dig up controversy where there was often none to begin with. Or, at the very least, they're overblown scandals that were relatively small potatoes. Exhibit A. Sweet Baby Inc.
Oh, this
Now,
ought to be
just
good.
mentioning them might cause some buttholes to clench, but thankfully, I have learned to speak both fluent Chud and SJW, so I'll try to skip out the bullcrap. First off, there's no denying that Sweet Baby Inc. has its own set of failures, such as their very insensitive tweet against the recently passed Akira Toriyama.
I didn't
as
know
well as
they
attempting a sort of
disrespected Akira. Fuck
racketeering
them.
tactic for getting consultants hired onto projects. They're basically saying to developers, "Hey, that's a mighty fine online reputation you got there. It'd be a shame if something were to happen to it."
Oh,
So,
like
yeah,
with
their
Black Myth
hands aren't
Wukong.
exactly clean, and their reputation didn't exactly improve after their involvement with that game. More on that later. However, while Sweet
Foreshadowing.
Baby Inc. has been involved in less than satisfactory Western AAA titles, it's still incredibly unclear how much influence Sweet Baby Inc. had on these games. And
More
yes,
than
while
they
it is
should.
fair to seek and notice patterns, correlation is not causation, and part of remaining factual is avoiding sensationalism. Basically, don't do what everyone did in regards to Palworld. Upon release, this game was hit with accusations of AI misuse, plagiarism, condoning animal cruelty, and human slavery. The most infamous one being,
It's a ripoff of Pokemon!
a lot of these accusations were thrown around with so much reckless abandon that it was hard to tell what was factual and what was misinformation.
Yeah, you
I will say
gotta,
this,
you
however,
really gotta dig deep
Palworld is
for this
not
stuff.
a Pokemon ripoff. It's an ARC ripoff.
Why did you even rope me into this? Because he roped me into this. Well, him over there, he roped me into this. Well, he roped me into this. What about me? He roped me into this. Well, that one over there roped me
Wow,
into
there's a
this.
lot of
He roped
copies.
me into this.
Okay, jokes aside, the line between ripoffs, parodies, and inspired by is a conversation for the courts, and we'll get to that later. Anyway, hey look, Black Myth Wukong is a thing. While it wasn't a game for me, I'm happy it still found success. However, it wasn't without its detractors. Journalists weren't particularly kind to Black Myth Wukong, mostly because it lacked female representation. Oh, but don't worry, Screen Rant. I'm sure that other Eastern games in 2024 will have a female lead that people will definitely celebrate.
Benevolent savior, hero. Yeah. And a big old dump truck of an
Again, we'll get to that in a bit. But people on the internet have also gotten mad at Black Myth Wukong's
Oh, this is
development
gonna
team
be
for sending a list
good.
of guidelines to people who wanted to stream the game. Now, when talking about this, I'll acknowledge two things. Yes, they could have worded their list of guidelines a bit more gracefully, and two, both this and Screen Rant's diversity complaint came about due to past allegations made against the dev team for promoting a sexist
Does that mean you
workplace
stand
culture.
my
But I will
butt,
say this,
Toko?
I don't feel like the dev team did anything wrong by asking streamers to cool down on the politics. I do the same thing for my streams because I just want to play a good video game with my audience. These devs clearly know just how heated political conversations on the internet get, and
You know,
you
fair
can't
enough.
blame them for wanting to put a lid on irrelevant discourse. Speaking of politics surrounding video games, Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes came under fire for its English localization being too politicized. And then there was the Paper
Ooh.
Mario 1000 Year Door remake, which had... Oh, wow.
I'm not touching that one with a 20-foot pole.
Well, moving far away from that, I want to finish
My
up this
stance
entry by
is
talking
I'm
about
cool with
arguably the dumbest online discourse this
Let me make sure I phrase that correctly. I'm fine with what they did with Vivian. The other localization changes, like not having a bunch of these minion Goombas hitting on Goombella, that being changed, I'm not okay with. That was a unnecessary change.
year. Stellar Blade.
big old dump truck of an
Remember that earlier joke I made about Black Myth Wukong lacking female representation? Well, Stellar Blade has you play a female character.
I can't
that has
wait
been
for this to
deemed by
come
the
to
internet
Steam.
be too sexy.
big old dump truck of an
It's basically the same deal as Bayonetta and
Yeah, it really
2B
is.
from Nier Automata, where people say that the whole game is bad because the female main character is so sexually objectified.
Wait, I need to read this. People also tried to accuse the devs of making Eve look underage. Huh? How the frick does she look underage? The most you could argue is the youngest she looks is like, and this is a stretch, like 17 or something. Though Eve's official age was not revealed, the devs assured gamers that she's a full-fledged adult. Possibly somewhere in her mid-20s. Also, she's based off a real person, so...
I think the fact that Stellar Blade is a painfully dull hack and slash is more worth getting mad at than...
big old dump truck of an
Of course, when the devs behind Stellar Blade did tone back the sexiness, people
Wait a sec. Who called this game a dull hack and slash? If anything, I've seen accolades for how good its combat, graphics, and music is.
will get uppity that they censored
Hi, Boost
themselves
Man.
to appease the SJWs. There's just no pleasing the internet.
I want the attention! I want the attention!
I recognize that reference.
Try not to get political with these fails lists anymore, especially because there have been instances where it's backfired. And quite frankly, all this internet discourse is why. People on both sides of the spectrum have no chill. It's always woke this, bigoted that, and it starts to get suffocating when all you want to do is just play a good game without angry moralizers breathing down your neck.
Kids, you're both just awful.
I know that internet controversy isn't exactly a new thing, but this year was probably the worst it's ever gotten. Doesn't surprise
Honestly, I do have to agree. This is the worst it's gotten, but I would also say, well, Sweet Baby Inc. and wokeness in gaming has never been as bad as it has been this year. So that's why all the people that are just calling it out and the quote-unquote chuds finally lost their last bit of respect, and now everyone's paranoid on if things are woke or not or such. It's honestly as simple as that. Hell, I myself have little faith in the Western game industry with all the damn woke shit they keep doing.
Surprised me, honestly. 2024 was an election year, after all.
You guys don't mind if I pause the video to give my short thoughts or such, right? I don't want to interrupt what he's doing.
Let's just move on before we start adding more fuel to the internet's
Oh dear!
ongoing flame war, shall we? On paper, being a gaming journalist sounds like it'd be a cinch. Just give fair, unbiased reviews, report right or wrong doings within the industry, and bring me photos of Spider Sonic! And yet, gaming journalism
Spider
has
Sonic?
activists pretending to be impartial, as well as overwhelming evidence of soft bribery.
Stop cashing checks and report the news, jerkies!
We've had plenty of instances of faulty journalism in these fails lists, and golly Moses, did they deliver again this year. We just talked about Veilguard, but this
7.8,
fails for the
too much
journals
water.
specifically. The number of reviews stating that Veilguard was a return to form for BioWare makes it so transparent how in the pocket of the devs
And then
they are.
they
And of
changed
course,
gears.
They tried to backpedal, salvage their non-existent integrity by writing articles critical of the game a few weeks after the review dropped. Gamers were not fooled. And before we discuss the poster child of crooked reporting, I want to briefly bring up one embarrassing incident with IGN. Oh, good old IGN. Can't spell ignorant without them. They've got a tried and true history of posting embarrassingly basic and uninspired reports, mostly based on whoever offers the bigger check.
Who the frick gave whatever this is a 7.5?
Or their own skill issue. This year, they decided to take a shot at
Okay, seeing that made me realize IGN has been way worse than I thought for a longer time than I thought.
Mario and Luigi Brothership by giving it a ludicrously low score. Ah, yes, how can another major Mario title compare to the sheer quality of Imagine Party Babies for the Wii? Of course, IGN did count on one thing. People actually liked Brothership. And yet another welcomed union, the community wasted no time clowning on IGN for, well, being IGN. It's weird. Usually we say the Nintendo bashing for Kotaku. Speaking of, yep, once again, the problem child of crooked journalism secured a place on this year's fails list. So what have they been up to this year? Well, for starters, they tried to combat concerns over the Minecraft movie trailer with, "You can't criticize this movie because it's for kids." These are also for kids. Kids deserve quality. Your excuse is as lazy as your research skills. They also committed not one, but two writing faux pas by plagiarizing from Cosmonaut Marcus and outright
didn't know about that.
from Did You Know Gaming. Guess they had to steal from other stories after these two embarrassments. For one, they called the basic accessibility options in Alan Wake 2 pointless, and later corrected it. Gee, whatever happened to Sekiro needs an easy mode for people with disabilities, fellows? Not only that, but you know Astrobot, the universally acclaimed game that rightfully won
the game of the year
in December? According to Kotaku, it's a soulless Sony cash grab. Look, Sony screws up a lot. But a good game is a good game.
I agree.
On the other hand, I don't encourage piracy because of my own skill issues, so what do I know? The most insane thing was committed by one of the writers, Alyssa Mercanti.
Come fight me.
In May of 2024, said writer got into conflict with YouTuber Smash JT after he called them out for
Oh,
their blunders.
right,
How
this.
far did she go with this? She DM'd his wife's private social media account, trying to gaslight her into leaving him. Okay, on a normal day, Kotaku is just petty. This is legitimate harassment and cyber stalking. The man has a family for fuck's sake.
Editor here with an update to this story. While editing this video, Melissa McConaughey has taken legal action against Smash JT for defamation, all the while going on a tweet purge, which is not a wise move in a defamation case. If a judge so much as glances at this case and it doesn't burst into flames, then this suit very well might put other media commentators at risk. So let's give a round of applause to Alyssa Mercante for making life harder for everyone else and securing her spot for 2025's fail list. Anyway, back to the video.
Good lord!
There are good people working at Kotaku who actually know what they're doing. But I'm serious when I say they need to change. Keep the reviews balanced and unbiased, and do stricter background checks. Otherwise, they're better off pulling the plug. The industry's got enough crap to deal with daily. Why be part of the problem?
My gosh, she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Okay, we're done with the stupid stuff surrounding the games industry. It's time we get to the real meat and potatoes of the list. The stuff you all came for. So, who's on first in this year's Hall of Infamy? Oh.
Who dat?
Oh, of course it's you. Randy. Oh, Randy Pitchford. How you are still working in the game industry to this day is another mystery.
Oh,
this year's
this guy.
arguably been Gearbox's most embarrassing year, which, believe me, is saying a lot. Let's start with the obvious one, the Borderlands movie. Movies based on games have seen a bit of a grace period, with Mario, Sonic, and FNAF in particular proving you can make a film that caters to fans.
Did anyone
and
here actually
be
see the
entertaining.
FNAF movie?
Well, here comes the Borderlands movie to remind us just how abysmal these films can be. The Borderlands film is just bad. It's a contender for being one of the worst gaming-based movies of all time.
That's bad?
saying a lot. Awful writing and comedy, a predictable story that did nothing interesting with the world, and a cast that leaves everyone baffled as to why. The stoic, no-nonsense Roland? Comedian Kevin Hart seems like a great choice. The movie bombed hard, and Randy, who all through the lead-up was so proud to say, guys, it was me who made this for you guys, the fans, completely switched to getting mad that people didn't like the film and blocking fans who said they didn't like
brother,
it. But they're
that
trying to
kind of
say,
behavior.
Oh, wow, I'm proud Hollywood couldn't make something as amazing as me. But if you want a gaming failure specifically, look no further than what happened to Risk of Rain 2. Fans were pretty skeptical when Gearbox
Wait a
bought
second.
the rights to this indie roguelike
But
looter
Amy
shooter,
loves
and it
Risk
turns
of
out
Rain.
their fears were absolutely warranted. The launch of the new Sinkers of the Storm update under Gearbox was met with insanely harsh criticism.
What?
Not only were many of the new additions like items and characters borderline unusable or overpowered, not only did the new enemies border on unkillable for the game, but the game came with glitches that completely broke the game's mechanics, even making it literally unplayable on some consoles. Many people resorted to down patching, because even if you didn't get the DLC, the update itself was just that bad. Oh, you want to know how bad it was?
How bad?
After the fact, the developers released a roadmap. Not for new free updates or new content added to the DLC, but just for fixes. I know
Wait,
historically romance just for
I'm
not
sorry,
for new
what?
free- so bad. The update itself was just that
Huh?
bad. Oh, you want to know how bad it was? After the fact, the developers released a roadmap. Not for new free updates or new content added to the DLC, but just for fixes.
Huh? What? Was it supposed to be an apology? Roadmaps are usually... Oh, okay.
I know historically romance have become synonymous with companies trying to assure gamers with vague promises and claiming that we totally have a plan, but that's usually for new content. Gearbox messed up so badly, they needed a roadmap for something that's already out. As if this
Oh! Oh, now I get it. It was a roadmap for how they were gonna fix their game. Holy fuck? I've never heard of something like that. What? How did I not hear about this year? Holy shit. I need to talk to my boyfriend about that one later.
Hey, DLC was just a beta test. Gearbox's reputation this year has sunk below any conceivable metric. Their fans have been through a conga line of disappointments, and it's hard to have any hope for the future, especially since the CEO just doesn't stop embarrassing himself. Okay, sure, Randy, compare yourself to the Beatles if it makes your ego feel better. Nobody's falling for
You
your
are
magic
nowhere
tricks
close to
anymore.
the Beatles.
So, curiosity, show of hands. Who's expecting the recently announced Borderlands 4 to end up on one of these lists when that comes out? Place your bets!
I've got a bad feeling.
It seems like we got a pretty good thing going, and I like my job. I don't want to give it up to a couple of robots.
You can't stand in the way of progress.
Once again,
Oh boy.
we're starting a
AI.
segment on AI misuse with a
Called it.
VeggieTales clip. They're like the PG Simpsons in terms of prophecy. It feels like every year, it doesn't get any easier to remain neutral on the use of artificial intelligence in entertainment. Shockingly, though, the games industry kind of backed off this year.
Kind of?
Because, yeah, it doesn't excuse those instances when it did happen. Let's start with a certain Doge purveyor, shall we?
Oh, that's gonna be good.
In 2024, Elon Musk himself announced that he was interested in getting into the gaming industry. To be fair, if Bill Gates can enter the console wars, Musk might have a chance. Just one teeny tiny problem with his plan, however. He seems to believe that incorporating generative AI into his game development will make games great again. It's gonna be huge. While he hasn't actually failed anything yet, he is doing a very poor job of inspiring confidence. Let's take a look at the companies that are already doing it, much to my chagrin. So remember that one dev that made a non-consensual replication of Angry Birds? Well, now we've got the actual Angry Birds devs making artificially generated promotional art for Angry Birds Block Quest. The promotional art had several discrepancies, like Chuck's feather piece being yellow instead of black, weird lines at the bottom of Red's body, and yeah, what is up with those plants? Rovio would confirm this by saying that they understand why it sparked frustration among the community. So why did you do it then? It's almost like you could have hired actual artists to prevent such discrepancies in your promotional art for your mediocre block puzzle game. How does one put so much care into not caring? Speaking of AI art, let's move on to another big offender, Square. They literally opened the year with an open letter saying they were going to invest more into AI.
Oh yeah, I
Lo and
remember
behold,
this.
Square would use AI-generated images for their little Splatoon clone Foam Stars.
I didn't know
And
they used it for Foam Stars.
Supposedly, this only made up 0.01% of the game. That they're admitting to. And surprise, surprise, Foam Stars lost 95% of its player base 2 months after launch. Then, in December of this year,
Yikes.
it was announced that Square would release its final seasonal update for Foam Stars in mid-January of 2025. So that makes 3 failed AAA live services from Squeenix.
Do I hear 4? No.
Now let's look at the highly automated theft of other parts of the industry. After all, 2024 would be the year that Ubisoft would unveil their new AI-powered Neo NPCs. It was hyped up to be the most innovative
Neo
gaming revolution that would change the
NPCs?
way we talk to NPCs forever.
Doesn't that just sound like what Fallout 76 promised? How do you make Neo NPCs?
Like, seriously, I don't even need to make a joke here. Like, I'm reading the script right now. We don't even need to make a joke. That's just the joke. Ubisoft is a joke. Sure, they did hire real narrative designers to design NPCs that were only then enhanced by AI. But the prototypes for these AI-powered NPCs were limited and unnatural. Garbage in, garbage out. And this barely even scratches the surface of Ubisoft's blunders this year. We'll get to all that later, but now I want to talk about Aperture Sight, I mean Valve. Though at this point, I think both of these companies are interchangeable, especially since Valve announced in 2024 that they would be responsible for distributing a vast majority of games developed with AI. I'm sure
I did
all
not
the
hear about that.
opportunistic scammers, prospective developers, will absolutely disclose that their game uses them. Now, part of this new policy does state that Valve would make sure that it is known to consumers when a game is committing plagiarism.
AI-generated assets.
But honestly, with how anti-AI gamers have become, I doubt that Valve or even the devs will be making money from this endeavor anytime soon. And that's if Valve is being honest. But don't worry, there's at least one company that's honest about its highly automated theft, and that company is Netflix. In 2024, Mike Verdu was named VP of Gen AI for Netflix Games and openly admitted to using AI at the cost of people's jobs. Geez,
Yikes.
so much for just being another tool. You guys are making me look like a clown just for trying to be optimistic. Anyway, what?
Wait. Did they use AI in the Arcane show? Or did they use it for the promotional art?
The tool. You guys are making me look like a clown just for trying to be optimistic. Anyway, what's our last bit of AI misuse for this entry? Huh?
Okay, alright, you're f***ing with me.
Oh, how I wish I was.
What?
At the beginning of this year, SAG-AFTRA made a deal with Replica Studios that allowed voice actors to make AI-generated replicas of their voices for video games. Huh.
Isn't this what led to the
could've
strike?
sworn that there was a big strike over this. Oh yeah, that's right, there was. Oh, and get this, SAG-AFTRA would go on strike again this year over pretty much the same thing that was last year's strike involving AI. This time specifically for video games. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think this is what a union is supposed to do. Oh, and I'm not done. In October this year, SAG-AFTRA signed an agreement with Ethovox to make sure that their voice actors get protections against AI. Great move. Why didn't you do this sooner? You go out of your way to partner with a company that is hell-bent on committing highly automated
So the
theft,
Genshin voice
and
actors
then you strike about it to the
and
point where you need
Hoyoverse
another
actors
AI
were
voice
safe
company to
in
give you
October, right?
protections? Like, no disrespect to all the boots on the ground fighting, but I'm not confident these guys are actually in your corner. While there weren't nearly as many instances of AI misuse this year as there was last year, the times that companies did misuse AI are just begging for
Well, I guess
lawsuits.
more AI
knowing the
misuse is
industry
gonna
by
happen
now,
next
something
year.
tells me that this is just the calm before the storm. I know some will advocate for AI, saying we need to keep moving forward and all that, and while I concur to some degree, we need to remain ethical. Because the misuse of generative AI isn't just bad for the gaming industry, it's bad for all industries.
I agree. Here comes a new
Yep,
challenger.
we have a new face on our yearly fails list. Let's give a round of applause to Warner Brothers.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Evidently, they decided screwing over movies and TV shows wasn't bad enough.
Do not blow this for us.
The time finally came for them to enter the world of AAA mismanagement. They made an attempt to delist more than 50 games from Adult Swim, only to backpedal at the last minute. I'd say it's less we
Hey, wait. Wasn't I complaining about this a week or two ago? That a whole bunch of Cartoon Network games got delisted, like the Samurai Jack game on Steam? Yeah, I'm pretty sure WB was involved with that. Fuck those guys.
A bullet and mortally dodge a shotgun blast to the head. For now. Of course, that was just a warm-up for their real fail this year. Lloyd Services. Let's get the big one out of the way. A poorly made third-person looter featuring bastardizations of iconic comic book characters. A complete waste of a perfectly competent developer that... Hey, wait a minute. Oh, haha. Very funny, writers, putting Avengers on another fails list. Wait, it's a different...
Oh!
Ugh, these things are practically the same at this point. I swear you could write this part with Mad Libs. Actually, come to think of it. People were initially excited when the developers of
Batman Arkham Games
announced a new game. However,
Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League.
was everything the fans didn't want. Rather than a
Single-player experience.
Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League.
was instead a multiplayer-focused live service game. The game would later be delayed, leading some fans to hope it would be better, but the release proved otherwise. on launch,
Flip Side Squad, kill the Justice League.
was criticized for its
War combat. Technical state.
Character progression systems.
and its.
Insultingly terrible death.
Yeah, insultingly terrible
As
deaths.
a result, the game was a critical and commercial flop. Rather than take the L,
Rock steady.
assured gamers that they were committed to the game for the long term. Of course, not even the introduction of was able to keep the game.
The funny thing is, Toka, I actually, when this game first was announced, I'm like, oh, this sounds like it could be fun. How little I knew. How little I knew.
Game alive. Eventually, the company confirmed that the game would no longer receive updates after January 2025. But why have one life service disaster when you can have two?
Yeah, that's one fine-looking live service game. Why doesn't mine look like that?
After being MIA for a year, Multiverses returned to an uproarious chorus of
Hey, Multiverse, thought you were dead.
what could have been a perfectly fun platform fighter was utterly eviscerated by its monetization system. Either pay through the nose to unlock the characters you actually want, or get ready to grind like them.
Wait.
Either pay through the
Hold on,
nose
what?
to unlock the character.
Earned by playing the game, leveling up characters. Purchased with real money. Packages start at 450 Gleamium for $5, up to 6,000 Gleamium. Joker, 100,000 prestige points. Oh, wait. Earned by unlocking cosmetic items. Okay, Joker, The Killing Joke, 1,500 Gleamium. 15,000, how much? How much is that? 450, $5. Oh my gosh, these characters are expensive! Let me do the math here. Okay, 450, 900. I think that's 450, 900, 1350. Are you saying that the Joker from The Killing Joke, the character itself, costed over $15? Are you serious? Damn! No wonder the game died. I was so confused about that this year. Saw a post on Reddit claiming to get all the characters with money would cost maybe $160. How many characters were there? Oh my gosh, this is why I didn't hear. I was wondering why Multiverses 2 flopped after how good the first game did. Holy shit. Terrible monetization is right. Damn.
Characters you actually want, or get ready to grind like it's your full-time job. At one point, a particularly egregious system was introduced and received so poorly that it got patched out. But don't worry, guys. It was just a bug.
Oh, sure, it was a bug.
Miraculously, though, it seems the gamers finally started to wise up to the AAA song and dance. Multiverses was a complete flop that cost Warner Brothers tens of millions. Won't be long now before they shut down their first game studio.
Oh, thanks, Freddy. Foreshadowing.
Oh, Ubisoft. Again. Don't get me wrong, I love tearing them down after all the shenanigans they caused, but it's more, I'm annoyed at
Good one,
myself for
Toko.
once saying they weren't evil, just stupid. And yet, year after year, they prove younger me wrong. But hey, I'll give them credit for this. At least they have the common decency to suffer and die slowly. Over the course of the year, Ubisoft has been finding itself in a financial downfall. Gee,
Which
Can't
it
for the
deserves.
life of me picture why, considering you spent like 650 to 850 million on Skull and Bones. They boasted that the game was a quadruple A level game. Okay, if you're gonna call it that, you better actually release these games when they're
I agree,
ready.
Toka.
Seriously,
Suffer.
everything it did was done way better back in Black Flag or Sea of Thieves. And look at that, they dropped the price. Well, at least they had a brief moment of self-awareness. Briefly. Well, hey, Star Wars Outlaws did pretty well because they bribed a bunch of outlets and influencers for positive reviews. Wow.
Wow.
Meanwhile, in the real world, the game had a game-breaking bug that forced an entire restart. And
Yikes.
the $110 edition. And oh, look at that.
Wait,
Even with the shilling, the sales figures
What did you say?
were still $10. Had a game-breaking bug that forced an entire restart. And the $110 edition.
PS5 fans who paid $110 for Star Wars Outlaws Early Access asked to restart what? The devs actually said this? Or the company actually said this? Anyone with early access needed to restart because the launch day patch. Holy. This is why you don't pay for early access, folks.
And oh, look at that. Even with the shilling, the sales figures were still laughable, like the company itself. Oh, and Assassin's Creed Shadows was delayed till early 2025.
Boy, this game.
That means we don't have to talk about it here, right? Oh, I wish. The discourse surrounding this game was another mind-numbing poo-flinging contest between the wokes and the chuds. But let's try to stick to the facts here, of which there are a few. Ubisoft apparently based this game off of the historical Black Samurai Yasuke, and they sourced this idea not from Japanese historians, but from Thomas Lockley, a white guy who made historical speculation. To be
Yikes.
charitable, we can't fully blame Ubisoft for being bamboozled like the rest of us, as it was something that everyone in the West, including academics, just kinda took for granted.
Actually, no, we can. It's called you actually do some damn research.
After all, there is historical evidence of Yasuke existing, but what he did and what his role was in Sengoku Japan society is very unclear, to the point where there's a ton of misinformation about the guy. What we can blame Ubisoft for is trying to save face with the history is up to interpretation, guys, while simultaneously claiming that their game is respectful and historically accurate.
No, it ain't.
Japanese laymen can point out various anachronisms and cultural faux pas while drunk.
Let's look at that map. What is that map? Does this map look okay? Does that look like Japan?
Nah.
This is supposed to be Hokkaido here.
だってこの時代北海道
Oh,
って全然
damn.
違うエリアだよ。It's not part of Japan. 1700、1800ぐらいだね。
This happened in the 1600s, right? No, we needed to talk about this right here. This is egregious. You do not have permission to use this Butsuzo statue in your game, Ubisoft. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Nobody is granted permission, and
You're
nobody
not?
gets granted permission for this. This is a religious symbol that they specifically say to not use in media.
There's also drumming up artificial hype for the game with bots, but
Is that true? Can you not use the great Buddha statue? Huh. I guess that explains something in Fate Extra where the final boss was basically portrayed as Buddha, but they've never summoned Buddha. Huh. Huh. Did not know. I guess there are even some religious things that even Fate doesn't touch.
We don't have proof that Ubisoft
Did not know
was
that.
behind that. But it only gets worse from here on out as they lock entire quests for the game behind pre-orders. Speaking of, the pre-order merch is so painfully tone-deaf that it borders on parody.
Oh, that's why,
And they're
Fluffy.
basically forcing
Also,
you to
nice
link your
Yaimiko
Ubisoft
profile
account
pic.
and have Denuvo running so they can prevent you from cheating in a single-player game.
Wait, I missed
They
that.
can
What did you say?
Pre-orders. Speaking of, the pre-order merch is so painfully tone-deaf that it borders on parody. Oh, and they're basically forcing you to link your Ubisoft account and have Denuvo running so they can prevent you from cheating in a single-player game.
Can Denuvo just die already? It's kind of like you can't use the Prophet Muhammad in media. Huh. Even South Park couldn't use his, like... Wasn't there a controversy with South Park over that? I have a new icon here. Hi, Noir.
You know, this eerily reminds
Nice
me of when
profile
Sony
pic.
pulled something similar, got charcoaled by the community, and take a shot. We'll get to that soon. Now, that would have been all, except right as I was finalizing the list for this year's fails countdown, Ubisoft got hit with 2 more blunders to really end the year with a whimper. They ended up facing a class action lawsuit when they announced they'd be shutting down The Crew. They attempted to remove it from people's libraries and half-heartedly offered refunds to anyone who bought the game
Yikes.
recently. Not really the issue there, gents. But hey, everything's all hunky-dory because, in their executive's own words, gamers should get used to not owning games.
Fuck that. Fuck that. No. If you pay money for a game, you should own it. Even if you could argue Steam is more a license than anything, it should be treated the same as if you own it. No. Fuck that. Logic like that is why people are constantly buying physical copies of things. And another reason why so many gamers this year decided to not buy newer games and instead played older games. I'm glad you're going bankrupt, Ubisoft, after that.
I think he
We're
said
2 days in the year,
well,
so he's me last
look
year.
on the bright side.
Wop, wop. Oh, hi, Noir.
Hi. I jumped into the call just to like join you.
What did you just say?
2 days in the new year, so.
Oh, yeah, we're 2 days into the new year. Your volume's pretty high. Don't change anything. I'll just change the Discord volume. Okay, there we go.
At least we still have X Defiant and it's gone.
X Defiant, which launched back in May 21st,
I am screen sharing, aren't I?
2024, and it'll be sunsetting
No, but
not
I'm watching
even
the
a
stream,
year after.
I've also watched it. I've already also watched the video before, so.
Oh, okay.
After its launch.
I'd honestly be surprised if they somehow survive 2025, given all the hits they've been taking recently.
But yeah,
just don't expect them to take accountability.
Had a
Seriously,
disastrous
Ubisoft,
2025.
isn't that hard to say sorry
Yeah,
for
Ubisoft
anything?
is bad.
All you do is pick up a ukulele and... No! Sony.
Oh boy.
What the fuck was this year? Seriously, math professors are
Oh,
using
this
the
ought to be good.
whiplash you gave us to teach parabolas. EKGs of marathon runners are less sporadic. A line drawn by a seizure patient would be straighter than the topsy-turvy year you had. Okay. So, what happened? Well, it all started with a simple case of Boy Meets Girl, or a game about managed democracy met annoying online account requirements. For
Oh, yeah,
some
that was
reason,
dumb.
Sony decided to make it a requirement to have a PSN account in order to purchase and play Helldivers 2 on Steam.
Wasn't that the first strike?
After the game was released. Okay, this isn't completely new. Ubisoft and EA have been doing that for years. We hate them for it, but we dealt with it. Well, the big issue is that you can't have a PSN account in 170-ish countries. So, no account means no playing that game you just
One of the
bought.
most incredible,
So, of course, the internet reacted calmly and
profitable
rationally by
years
review bombing the game until
in
Sony
like 10 years,
backpedaled.
so.
That's
You
great.
can't really say
Too bad Sony decided
fumble
to do
like
the
overall,
same thing
but
with other Steam
by
ports
the
that came
choices
this
that
year,
they did.
including
No,
God
the
of War
business
Ragnarok,
choices they made
Ghost
were
of Tsushima Remastered,
fucking dumb.
and Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, which are all
Yeah, but the thing is,
single-player.
they had the
It
most
boggles
one of the
my
most
mind why they would
profitable years
require it to begin with.
for 10
Speaking of
years,
Horizon,
which is
Sony went out of
kind
their
of
way to have people
saying
buy
something
the
about
remaster over the
2024 as a whole.
Look, I'm just saying, I don't care how profitable they are, they made some really dumbass shit. Well, the only reason I would care how
They did.
profitable they are is you get something in the shares or something.
original. Everything was good at first, allowing players to upgrade their version of the game to remaster it for a discounted price. Then, Sony upped the price of the original Horizon to almost double
Yeah, that
what
was
it was,
stupid.
so they don't lose money on people buying the remaster. Then they removed the OG version entirely on PC, so people were forced to buy the remastered version. You think that's slimy? Remember the fun PSN requirement issue?
Yeah.
Okay, enough about Steam. Let's get to the real show.
Concord.
Yeah, Concord was a thing.
Let's be honest. Did
Apparently, if
any
you
of
bought it,
you
you
know
thought you were
about
rich
this
now,
game
so.
before its release? It was announced over a year ago with an Overwatch-style trailer, and we didn't hear anything
Yeah,
since.
people are
Then
buying
it came out
PCs
as
that
the
have
player count made
Concord
Overwatch
downloaded on
2
them.
feel good about itself for the first
Ah,
time in
so the same
months.
thing that
It was
happened with
so
that,
bad that Sony pulled the plug less
that
than
one
2 weeks
demo
in,
Konami
and then
made.
shut down the studio a month later. Say what you want about multiverses, at least they had a chance to come back. Firewalk, more like fired walk. And let's not forget the report on how they spent anywhere from 200
How quick
to
did it take for
400
Concord to
million
shut down?
on the game that only
Was it
lasted
2 weeks or a
week.
month?
Last but not least, the PS5 Pro.
PS5
Why do
Pro.
you do this, Sony? Congrats! You made a digital-only machine with an advanced frame generation that could go up to large resolutions with no effort. Good job, you were absolutely the first to do that. I get that it would be easier to grab that over a gaming PC, but $700, Sony? Plus, you need to
$700.
pay extra for a disk drive, so hope you didn't have a bunch of physical games.
So, what you're selling to us is a console that your audience already owns a version of, that most developers will not optimize their games for, and whose biggest selling point is how it can make a 4-year-old game.
The servers were so
Exactly. What part of this aren't
a
you
lot for
getting?
All of it.
This is
well,
just an
another
Apple Vision
14 days
Pro.
after
Just
the
something
announcement of
super expensive that people can brag that they have, despite cheaper and arguably better options. And if you were PC savvy, there's especially no reason to get it, as
Yep.
Sony keeps releasing its games on
Yeah,
PC
they keep
too.
releasing games
I
onto
think the
PC,
only
so
games that are
what
still
reason is there to
exclusive
get it?
are Astrobot, Last of Us 2. Oh, wait, never mind. And 7 Rebirth. Wait, never mind
I
that too.
mean, some
So, yeah,
people are
Astrobot.
still console players.
Can't
Like
wait to
they,
spend $700
they do not
for
like to
that.
switch over to like using a
Despite
complete
Now
keyboard.
that's
this,
fine
there
it,
were
for
a lot
like
of things
the
to
base
hype about Sony
PS4.
this year. The
but
30th anniversary of PlayStation, Freedom Wars Remastered.
The price difference between getting a PC or PS5 Pro with similar specs is, at that point, just take the plunge and get a gaming PC. It'll be also stronger, because, yeah, there's the PS5 Pro, but we're probably within a few years gonna see the PS6.
Ghosts of Yotei announcement, and of course, Astrobot. Astrobot alone showed what happens when a small team, passionate about what they're creating,
Yay,
obtains huge
Astrobot.
success as a result. So much it became a message to others in the games industry about what truly makes a good and successful game. Games like Baldur's Gate 3, Balatro, and Final Fantasy XIV, like pretty much what Capcom and Nintendo have been doing for years. Sony
It's something
better
that
take this to
people-
heart, but I'm skeptical since they knew to
More
do this
comfortable
during the
using, like-
PS4 era. Yet they still decide to go down this path. We shall see. Oh wait, I forgot. They still want to grab Katakawa specifically from
Gaming.
From Software, despite their stubbornness in putting Bloodborne on PC. We're
But
doomed.
I could have sworn
Crossplays
the
that now-
Kadokawa...
Thank you, Fortnite.
I could have sworn the Kadokawa thing wasn't nearly as dangerous for the anime industry as we first heard. Because I think Sony said they weren't going to touch anything related to that. At least, I think that's what I heard.
They don't want the company to go under. Like, Kadokawa was failing, so like the whole entire company was going to fall under like within this year,
So,
like 2025. So Sony's basically saving it.
So what they did is the same thing Nintendo did with the Bayonetta game studio.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
they
that's what
don't.
it
They
sounds
don't want Kadokawa to fail.
So they not only don't.
That's
want
exactly
it to fail,
why Sony did that.
Huh. It does sound similar, I guess. Oh, parent company of FromSoft. Okay, yeah, that. Wait. How is that potentially going under when FromSoft keeps making so much money? That's confusing.
Because they have more.
They have more what?
They have focus over one thing over another.
Ah, okay. Let's see what number 2 is. Oh, this ought to be good. Game industry. Layoffs. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a big one. This was the year of layoffs for the game industry. And it just did not stop. Started at the start of the year, and it kept going and going and going. Okay, good thing From Software was okay. Okay, this is a fantastic edit. Sony's layoffs. $1,000. Yikes! I didn't even go into it. He's just like, let that speak for
Nintendo,
itself.
Top 5 to dishonorable mention. Would have avoided it entirely if not for the usual copyright shenanigans. Still, improvement is improvement. Nintendo nuance. The situations with Palworld and emulators are a little more complicated than just Nintendo bad. I mean, it is bad, but it's not entirely Nintendo's fault. Look at these videos as to why. Glide the Dragon. Fully funded.
The people
Demos
behind
out.
Yuzu
Then
are
comes
still
a complete
paying Nintendo
production
right now.
overhaul. It's almost like
Even
you
if
should
it's
treat
shut
your
down.
well or something. Zukosis. Pocket No Man's Sky down to a tragic staggered development. Redemption story to be decided. Them's fighting herds. Added 2 characters that broke the game and then fired the mods and devs. These guys just can't catch a break. Square Enix, $140 million loss, but hey, they bounced back. For now.
You were the chosen one! Bring balance to the force! Not leave it in darkness! And why should I care?
Alright, what is number 1?
Shall we then? On last year's fails list, when ActiBliz managed to get number 1 for the 3rd year in a row, I mentioned that ActiBliz would turn into MicroBliz in 2024. You may also recall that I said,
I look forward to absolutely nothing changing.
And guess what? The strangest thing happened.
You're right.
Absolutely nothing changed! In fact, things only got worse for Microsoft, and only after the acquisition of ActiBliz.
Really?
It's like these guys are a virus in the gaming industry. Now, does this technically make this the 4th year in a row that Activision Blizzard finds itself at number 1?
No. Your eyes just started to the left. You're lying, aren't you? No.
It's a bit complicated. But in the spirit of showing just how corrupt Microsoft got because of them, and because I'm unoriginal, I decided to group the fails of ActiBliz themselves with the fails of Microsoft. That'll make this year's number 1 extra juicy.
Oh boy.
Remember that
Overwatch
first
2.
that was promised last year? Well, big shock. The mission sold so poorly that ActiveBliss put the kibosh on PvE forever. This essentially means...
Oh, man. I remember the announcement for story in Overwatch 2, and I would be like, hey, maybe that is something that would get me to try the game. I can only imagine the fury players that bought off of that promise would have felt. Actually, Noir, I'm sure you have some stories how people felt.
Don, you're talking.
You cut out.
To one of the players that absolutely uninstalled the game because of it.
Wait, you... I didn't know that! You uninstalled Overwatch 2?
The man in...
Alright, you cut out again. I'm not sure why.
Someone who got fucked.
Yeah, you are...
I actually uninstalled.
You are cutting out hard. The last thing I heard was...
But yeah, now can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I uninstalled Overwatch 2 because I was promised, like, we were promised a full entire, like, story mission thing. Well, we didn't get it.
You know, I've often criticized you of being overly forgiving. I can only imagine how angry you must have been to actively uninstall Overwatch 2. Yikes. I'm also surprised I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I just did it without, like, I don't think when I'm pissed off, I do things in silent. I silently just, like, I silently protest. I'm not, like, vocal about it, but when I protest something, I do it silently. I don't, like, just the full on and announce that I'm going to do it. I'm just like, I'm just going to silently do this.
Huh. I'm the opposite. When I get mad, I make sure everyone knows.
Yeah.
That the original, much better Overwatch game.
But yeah, I was one of the players that were like holding on to this promise, holding on to the promise of like, we're finally going to get something. We're finally going to get story mission. Wait. Okay, look at the clock. Nothing. And they announced it like. I was just sat there like. So.
You're like, it's
you're
coming.
Telling me
it's
I
coming.
waited.
It's coming.
Yep. And then I was like, you are shitting me. I waited how long for this? To get it canceled?
At least Overwatch 2 was free. Actually, no, that makes it even worse now that I think about it. Overwatch 2, yeah, was free. But if people knew ahead of time that they weren't going to do the story stuff, they wouldn't have downloaded the game. They wouldn't have invested so much time. And then would have been left with a critical dilemma of what I installed the game for in the first place is never coming.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gosh darn, that is like false advertising. Wow. Do you think they would have gotten sued if they actually did charge $50?
I think so.
I guess that's the only reason they didn't. The only PvE they released was paid and sold so poorly they dropped it, just like Josh said.
Policy change made it so that Overwatch 2's dev team will receive a grand total of 0% of profit-sharing bonuses. Oh, if you think that's policy,
brother!
Absolutely nothing.
You murderer! You killed my brother!
Speaking of the downward spiral of Overwatch, Activision Blizzard's policy change made it so that Overwatch 2's dev team will receive a grand total of 0% of profit-sharing bonuses. Oh, if you think that's bad, there's just...
What is What is the average profit sharing bonuses for a dev team?
I have no idea.
Let me Google this real quick. For game dev teams, profit sharing is a bonus that you receive based on the profitability of a specific game or project that you worked on. Usually calculated as a percentage of the net revenue or profit that the game generates over a certain period or after a certain milestone.
And this is why I feel bad for developers of games. When people protest them.
I usually feel bad for developers of games. As long as they don't directly mock gamers. Once developers start mocking their audience, that's when I don't feel bad for them anymore. But those that are just pure victims of the higher-ups' incompetence, yeah, they absolutely have my pity.
Leads us nicely into... A
Chris?
lead staff member
What?
came forward in a thread on Twitter about his absolutely horrible experience working for ActiBliz. He stated that when he asked HR for information regarding a promotion or pay raise, they straight up gaslit him, saying things like, "Why would we pay you more than we have to? That doesn't make any business sense." The final straw came when Sayers was forced to work for 3 months without pay.
What?
The final straw came when Sayers was forced to work for 3 months without pay.
Are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck?
And he got victim blamed when he confronted the higher-ups about it. I'm just gonna say it flat out. This is slavery. I mentioned
It
how
is
ActiBliz
slavery.
has underpaid their workers in the past, but the fact that it went from the higher-ups paying very little to nothing at all is inexcusable. Last year, H2M
Cease and
announced that they
desist.
would be releasing a mod for Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered.
Took a bit of digging, but the bonus in question for what I asked earlier is usually 5% to 10%, depending on the performance of the game. But that rate is usually always there. I'm not defending Blizzard in the slightest, but... How well did Overwatch 2 do financially?
I don't know. Like, nothing is, like, it's all cosmetic based. Like, yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's hard to get information on that. But
$25, but $25 for the one skin is astronomically stupid.
Yeah, that is pretty stupid.
And then to unlock a character, you have to buy the Battle Pass, which is like $10. And then you have to play the games over and over and over and over again to just get to page 60. And then that's before they made them all free. But before, they were not free.
Yikes.
Mastered that would bring back classic gameplay.
Just imagine
elements
if...
while releasing a
Okay, just imagine if Genshin Impact was like that.
For what specifically? Because they do release, like, cosmetics every now and again.
To put a character behind a paid Battle Pass.
Noir, we would actually save more money if they did that. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
So
no one would buy them.
The thing is, you make that sound bad,
that's a good idea for
but that actually would have been a good thing.
Because you get to, like, you complete the Battle Pass in Hoyo games pretty easily. Because it's fun to play.
Yeah, you can.
Okay,
I mean...
Okay. My example was stupid. I am sorry.
That was a bad example. That was a bad example. No, go tell Hoyoverse to do that.
That would actually make them a lot more money, too. That's actually not a bad idea.
I'm making that a clip.
I was just like, okay, what if Hoyoverse did this? No, the Hoyoverse would absolutely make more money if they did that. That would be a money printing machine.
It would be a money printing machine. All the free-to-plays would be like, wait, if I pay $10, I can guarantee getting a character? Well, sign me up!
Just get the best.
I mean, Hawkeye Effect 3rd does that. If you buy the premium battle pass 2 months in a row and you save up and max out the battle pass, you get a free character.
I need to think of another better example then.
Last year, H2M announced that they would be releasing a mod for Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered that would bring back classic gameplay elements from Modern Warfare 2.
And how'd that go?
They were finally ready to release it this year, only for Activision to hit them with a cease and desist right before launch. All that hard work, all those hours that the H2M team spent working on this mod, and it's all snuffed out in the blink of an eye. But if you thought all of...
Wait, let me see your example. Now imagine... okay. I clicked my thing. What was your example? Imagine if Smosh It! Nah, imagine if Smash's roster was like that. Start with the N64 Smash characters, then have to battle pass the rest. Yeah, that would be pretty shit. Wait. Would that be pretty shitty considering that DLC characters cost about 1/3 of the price of a battle pass? I'm just saying. Oh, not just the DLC. Okay, that would be pretty scummy.
That was unethical. I haven't even talked about Microsoft yet.
Yay, I remember this one.
Rush? You know, that really amazing rhythm-based hack-and-slash game from last year that was distributed by Microsoft? You may recall how successful it became after launch and how much everyone loved it. So, naturally, Microsoft's reaction to such a success was to look Tango Gameworks dead in the eye and say point blank,
"Congratulations! Your purpose has been fulfilled. Time to die." What?
Yep. After the success of Hi-Fi Rush, Microsoft pulled the plug on Tango Gameworks.
Why?
Not even being successful will save you from being shuttered. That's actually legitimately frightening. Oh, and the best part is a day after pulling this stunt, Microsoft would say they need more games like Hi-Fi Rush. How does a company this fiscally successful not know what goes on in their company? If you admit that you need more games like the ones from the studio you just dismantled, clearly you made a huge mistake in dismantling said studio. And Tango Gameworks was already in production of new games when this happened. Now, I'll acknowledge that Tango wasn't the only company that Microsoft axed this year. Arcane Austin, the developers behind Redfall, also got dismantled by Microsoft. Granted, Redfall was a commercial and critical failure in and of itself, but remember, that was mostly due to Microsoft pushing the game out before it was finished. So Arcane Austin got screwed by Microsoft 2 years in a row, and now the staff of 4 whole companies
Microsoft
are
is more
without
scummy than I
jobs.
thought.
Why? Well, when asked about this, Xbox President Sarah Bond responded with a load of nonsense that basically amounted to something.
That's actually another reason why people don't play games on PCs that often.
Stated that the move was made to focus on.
What did you say, Noir?
This is actually the reason why people don't play like games on Steam or like PC as much anymore.
What do you mean?
Reason, because they don't want to support like Microsoft.
Is Microsoft connected to Steam in any way? Or are you just talking about pure Xbox ports over with like the Xbox
PC,
store?
Pure PC players, yeah. Like the Xbox store.
Huh. Yeah, okay, that
And
makes more sense.
that's come this year has been the most profitable by Sony for a long time because people are buying Sony like PS4s, like Vives.
Yeah, just wait till the Nintendo Switch 2 pops out. Basically, they don't want to support the Microsoft Store or Windows. I can understand that.
Blockbuster titles, saying that they needed to develop smaller games that could win them more awards.
You just fired Hi-Fi!
Hi-Fi Rush was! Yeah, Microsoft had no excuse for pulling the plug on Tango and Arcane, except for maybe acquiring more gaming studios, giving their CEO a $30 million pay raise.
Back up what, Lane? What, did I miss something?
Staff of 4 whole companies are without jobs. Why? Well, when asked about this, Xbox President Sarah Bond responded with a load of nonsense that basically amounted to something.
President of Xbox asked about the closure of Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango. Spends close to a minute saying almost nothing.
Something long-term commitment. Oh, and another Xbox higher-up stated that the move was made to focus on blockbuster titles, saying that
but you
they needed to develop smaller games that could win them more awards. Which Hi-Fi Rush was! Yeah, Microsoft had no excuse for pulling the plug on Tango and Arcane, except for maybe acquiring more gaming studios, giving their CEO a $30 million pay raise.
What the frick?
Former Actibliz CEO Bobby Kotick enough money to have kept both Tango Gameworks and Arcane Austin alive for over 17 years.
Fuck.
This disgusting ogre, who should be in jail for sexual harassment and threatening to have his assistant killed, gets to walk away with enough money that could have kept 2 gaming studios fed for nearly 2 whole decades.
You people are a disgrace!
Gamers would take the steam to review bomb Hi-Fi Rush with positive reviews in support of Tango Gameworks. Wow, a situation where review bombing is actually a good thing. In fact, people were so mad about these companies getting shut down that an LA billboard paid tribute to both companies like a frickin' in memoriam. Thankfully, by heavenly miracle, Tango Gameworks and the Hi-Fi Rush IP would be acquired by Krafton Inc., saving the studio from permanent closure. How did Microsoft react to this? Like an evil villain from a cartoon that just got their plans foiled again. It's honestly kind of pathetic. 2024 was easily the worst year for Microsoft since the Red Ring of Death days, and it's no coincidence that they would get into the #1 spot after adding Actibliz to their list of acquisitions. They both share the same symptoms of having their higher-ups being gaslighting narcissistic abusers. So, it is with great pride and disdain that I hereby crown Microsoft our new champion of gaming industry fails. Wear your crown of thorns proudly, Microsoft, because I highly doubt it's coming off anytime soon. I'm Josh Scorcher, and I have no sympathy for any of these villainous companies.
Villainous companies, I guess.
Hey everyone, this is Josh. If you like this
That
video,
was-
please like, subscribe, leave a
that
comment,
is
and
always
share the video
an
around. Plus, check out my
amazing
other social
video.
media, like my Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr. Check out my other channels such as Joshua Burner.
I
for
found out a
reactions and
number
other
of
stuff,
things
Dragon
I didn't
Gaming
even
for
know
Tabletop,
about, and I'm
Pop
pretty
Question
good
for
at paying
that too.
attention to
Consider
the
checking below
gaming
the video and
industry.
donating to my Patreon, Streamlabs for my merchandise, or becoming a YouTube member. Thanks for watching.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, too soon. Yeah, that was a good video. If you're watching this as an upload on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me if you want to see more reaction stuff like this. And obviously go subscribe to Josh Scorcher because he makes amazing content. Not gonna lie, Don, I pay more attention than you, and I still learned new things from this. Yeah, really shows how much Josh pays attention to the game industry. Yeah, big props to him for helping me learn just how shitty this year truly was. Like, that one employee who didn't even get paid for 3 months. Gosh darn. 2024 was rough for gaming. Oh, I've been subscribed to him for years as well. I watch almost all his videos.